If you're looking for a pet pig and you want to adopt, you can go to the Pig Placement Network's website. There's applications there, and there's lots of information that you should read before you fill out that application. We want to be sure that your home is zoned to have a potbelly pig, that you own it, so you don't have any landlord problems. We also want to be sure that you have a veterinarian that's going to be able to take care of them. That can be a major problem and something that people are quite surprised that veterinarians don't always take care of pet pigs. So have those all ready and then read all the information that you can about pet pigs on our website and other places as well. Fill out the application and we'll try to find a pet pig for you that's as close as possible to where you're living. Pigs require a lot of time, so you really need to be in a place in your life where you have time to spend with this animal. It requires attention, and it hates being home alone. So somebody should always be around, or most often. You can also check Craigslist and other places on the internet to see if you can find somebody who needs to find a home for their pet pig. Don't be afraid to adopt an older pig. Piglets are cute, but they're a handful and they require special attention. When you're looking for a pet pig, be sure you do your homework and that you don't believe everything that you read online. When your pig lives outdoors, you need a different type of bedding. You should have straw and shavings. Pine shavings are the best shavings to use in their outdoor space. Also, housing should be wood, not plastic, whenever possible, especially if it's an outside pig that lives outdoors all the time. That's very important because the wood breathes and it's cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter for you. Then the housing should be double walled or at least insulated so that it keeps them warmer inside. You can use straw or you could use hay as well. They may like hay because they can eat a little of it as well, and it gives them a little more roughage if they're outside pigs. But the straw is a better bedding than the hay is. Your outside house really should have a doorway that's adequate for the pig to come and go, but not too big so that it doesn't create a lot more draft in the wintertime. It should also have a flap on it. The flap should be waterproof so that no water is getting in. And the flap will keep the inside of the house warmer as well. I don't recommend that you use blankets in an outdoor facility, mainly because the pig will use that blanket to block the doorway, and then the rain will come or snow, it'll become moist, and then we don't want moisture inside of their little contained areas. How big does a potbelly pig get? It depends. There's a wide variety of sizes in pigs, and it does have to do with how big mom and dad are at maturity. Mom and dad can be very, very small, very young when they start to produce. Little boys can start producing at actually only 8 weeks old, and the little girls can start to produce at as young as 5 months old. And that is a very small animal at that time. So when you go to purchase a pig and you see the mom and the dad, you be sure to ask what their age is. It's very important to know that a pig matures at 4 to 5 years old. For example, Churchill here is a mature potbelly pig. He's not going to get any bigger than this. He's 8 years old, and when he was sold as a piglet, and he was only supposed to get 19 pounds. And of course, that caused Churchill to go into a rescue, and that's how I met Churchill. He came into a rescue. Rule of thumb is the potbelly pigs will grow from birth. They're about a pound, and they grow 1 pound per week in their first year. At their first birthday, you could weigh them and double that weight to get what is going to be approximately their adult weight. So now that Churchill is a good 110 pounds, he was about 55 pounds when he was a year old. And that's kind of a calculation that you can do for your pig too, to find out how big will my pig get. They don't drink a lot of water. You need to keep water at their level all day long, nice fresh water. The moment that water is dirty, they probably won't go back to the water bowl. So you can keep changing the water bowl. But they don't really drink a lot of water. So that's why I recommend that if you're giving them a cup of pig chow, that you put 2 cups of nice warm water in the pig chow and let it fluff up a little bit and then serve it to them. At least they're getting a couple cups every day. In the summertime, that's particularly important. So what you can do is see if your pig likes ice cubes. And if they like ice cubes, they can have all the ice cubes that they can possibly eat. The other thing that you can do is to freeze some water in a small container and maybe have a few frozen peas or carrots in it, and then put that in the water bowl in the summertime and let them try to eat those few little treats in there so that they eat more water. That's another trick that we have learned. It's important that they drink a certain amount because they are prone to urinary tract infections. So water consumption is very important. Hoof trimming is very important for the pigs. You need to do it as frequently as the pig needs it. If he's walking on a surface that is porous, like a driveway, stepping stones outside, that type of thing, you're going to find that your hooves are just fine. If the pig's pasterns go down, if he is not walking like he is walking on high heels, and the weight of the pig or the conformation of the pig goes down, then those hooves are going to continually grow and you're going to need to keep them trimmed. So frequently you'll need to have a hoof trim. Now, if you're not close to a veterinarian that can do your hoof trim and you're depending on yourself to do it, you should do it at a quiet time when you and the pig are very relaxed, and you can use these 2 tools. This one is straight nose, very sharp. You actually should wear some gloves on this so you don't cut yourself. And this will do the majority of the work if the hoof isn't too overgrown or too long. If the hoof is way too long, you're going to need something like these pony nippers, and it puts a lot of pressure on that toe and it's able to cut it off quite easily. So with those 2 tools, you should be able to trim just about any pig's hooves. Churchill doesn't really need his hooves trimmed. He hasn't really even had a hoof trim, but it doesn't take much. Just a little clip here and a little clip there, and oh my goodness, we're done. Okay. Churchill lives most of his life outdoors, and he's on gravelly area, so his hooves hardly ever need trimming. If your pig is not letting you give him a hoof trim, it's really important that you seek another option. You can try to find a veterinarian in your area, or you can contact another pig expert that might know where to go to get a qualified veterinarian. There are a couple of ways that veterinarians take care of hoof trimming. One is by actually giving them a gas isoflurane and then doing the trimming while they're under. I don't recommend that if you can avoid it, but that is an option. So the other way a veterinarian can do it is actually just picking up the pig and flipping him on his back and trimming the hooves. There are a few illnesses that potbelly pigs can get because they're living in your home that you should be on the lookout for. One of them is urinary tract infections, crystals, that type of thing. So you should be monitoring every day when they go outside to do their business or they're doing their business in the house in the potty box. You need to monitor that urine flow, the color, so on, to make sure if anything is happening, especially with those little boys, you can be on top of it quickly. Same with constipation. Make sure that they're eating a high fiber diet, that they're grazing as frequently as they can. That will help with constipation a great deal, that they're drinking enough water. And those are things that are easy for you to monitor. Another thing that they can have is something that's called dippity pig, and it's very important because some people are really concerned when they see it. Right here in the small of their back, they develop almost like a herpes virus, and it's very painful. All of the nerves that are next to the skin are very, very sensitive, and that's what causes their hind legs to dip down, and why we call it dippity pig. We don't know what it is, we don't know what causes it, but we do know that it usually only happens in a few hours to a few days, and the pig is over it, and it does not need any medical attention. However, you should put the pig in a quiet environment, let it sleep, so that it doesn't have to move around. It'll continue to eat during this time. And if you suspect that your pig has dippity pig, you should be calling a veterinarian to be sure that that is what you're seeing. Parasite control is also very important. All pigs should be wormed so that they pass any worms that they may have. Right after you get them home from the breeder, you can go ahead and get them wormed right away. And also that will help with any mange. Mange is a mite. It's on the surface of the skin. It's microscopic. You can't see it. It's not like a flea. It reproduces rather quickly and will cause extreme itching to the animal. In the case of swine mange, it doesn't cause a lot of hair loss until it's really at its very, very severe case. In order to get rid of mange, you need to give your pig worming medicine called ivermectin, and there's another one called Dectomax, and that should do it. But you do need to treat them 2 times, 10 days apart, 10 days to 2 weeks. And that should take care of both the adult mite as well as the eggs that might be hatching. That's very important to do that, even a couple times a year. I recommend spring and fall, a good time to just worm your pig. Another is overeating, probably the #1 problem we have with pet pigs. Overeating, obesity can cause blindness because the fat just keeps growing over their eyes and they can't see anymore. Not because there's anything wrong with the eyes, but because the fat just completely covers their eyes, as much as a blindfold would cover your eyes. Hearing loss, they get hearing loss because that fat, it just keeps growing and growing and growing right over those poor little ears, and they can't hear very well. It's more like when you're listening to something that's muffled, and that causes behavior issues as well. You don't want that to happen, but worst cases are the arthritic conditions that these extreme overweight pigs get early on. There's so much weight put on a joint that wasn't meant to have that much weight. So arthritic conditions happen early on these pigs. And sometimes that can be genetic, and sometimes that can be an infection. So if your pig is lame, you need to see a veterinarian to make sure you're treating it properly. It could be a number of different things.